You're listening to WKDW Radio 97.5 and KDWRadio.com, broadcasting from the Bishop West Real Estate Mobile Tower right here in a little bit soggy Northport, Florida. So if you're out there driving on the roads today, it is Friday. There's no reason to rush to get home. Keep it slow, keep it on the road, and keep everyone around you safe on the way home. Oil and water don't mix. And on 75, I gotta tell you, there's oil on that road. Even though we've had some rain back to back to back, it's gonna make it like an ice rink out there. So if you really want to get home safe, pay attention to others and slow it down. I always say that, but 6 months in trauma won't do you any good. 6 minutes late will do you a lot of good. So just take your time getting home tonight. I've got a very special guest in the house. It is his first time ever on the show, I believe. Is that true, David?
Maybe the second time. I was on with Bill from the chamber initially.
On mine or somebody else's show?
Somebody else's.
Yeah, somebody else's. So you're a pro at the radio station.
I used to have a radio show up north when I lived up there. So
very good. Well, do a quick intro and then tell us a little bit about your history there.
Well, my name is David Pankiw. I'm a resident of Northport. I'm the only one on the committee that lives in Welland Park, which is an interesting topic. This is a conflict topic, I guess, right now. But yeah, I've been a resident here since January of 18. I'm pretty active in the community. I'm on the City of Northport's Economic Development Committee. Member of the Northport Chamber. Involved in the Ukrainian Men's Club because that's my background. Part of the Northport Shrine Club. I'm actually the president-elect of Venice Rotary. And I'm also on the district committee, which is in charge of doing a youth exchange. So I'm working with the Northport Rotary Club and the Venice Rotary Club trying to get that going. So pretty active in a lot of things locally, John.
And I got to tell you, you sound like you're part of the city of Northport where you live.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I always, you brought up the topic of Welland Park. So I'll go ahead and kind of cue this up for you to take it elsewhere.
Okay.
Because I hate beating up Welland Park people. You just have to understand where you live, where you pay your taxes, and maybe be a vital part of your community versus trying to do the opposite. That's my opinion, but I'll let you drive that conversation if you'd like down the road. But it looks to me like you're someone who's grabbed a hold of the city of Northport and said, "This is where I'm at. I got to get involved."
Yeah, and part of our group here, which I'm sure, as you've been speaking with everybody, we're here to inform and educate the citizens of Northport on some important issues and some events that are going on that affect them. And talking about Welland Park, let's talk about that just briefly. I think that is part of the concern is that there hasn't been a lot of communication to a lot of areas in Northport, including Welland Park. And so that's why there's some things going on from the citizens on that end, because in some instances they weren't informed of that, which we realize there's some truth in that. So again, it's communication, John, out there. And I think that's what we're trying to bring from across the board.
Back and be correct all the time. I got to tell you, when you break things down and you start looking at how things were handled right from the start, that whole area was getting labeled well before the citizens started buying like they're buying today. I've been part of sales in that area and tried to educate people before they got in the doors there so they weren't misled by a mailing address. It dumbfounds me why people think that a mailing address puts them in a city that's not even attached to our city of Northport. It doesn't make any sense to me. But it's the fact that the communication, and I have to say this across the board, and I think it's a struggle for Northport or any city overall that doesn't have media source outlets, I think getting communication out is a really hard thing to do on a consistent basis. Your thoughts on that? As a citizen up there, I would love to kind of pick your brain a little bit and see if you had some ideas or some thoughts on how to revamp that.
Well, I think it would be important for maybe from the commissioner's end to do some, community outreach efforts. I think initially maybe that was done. Yeah, I would say right from the beginning. I mean, I knew where I was moving into. I mean, it was communicated to me in my development, but I know that others weren't. So there definitely was some errors in that communication. But I do feel from both sides. I will say to you, I feel we're a little bit distant from what's going on in the city and vice versa. And I think that causes a tug of war. You're on Facebook too, I'm assuming, and you can probably see some of our posts on our Facebook page, Northport Forward, and there's some tug of war from the core citizens of Northport and Welland Park up to the north. So I think if you're going to move forward, you have to communicate and work together. And I think this bantering back and forth has to settle down and come together and make it smooth.
I'm not into the bantering. That's why I ask you your opinion, because honest to God, we've got to figure it out. And unless everybody starts having a communication, a good conversation, and open up communication, and be accepting of conversation. I like how you put it out there. It's not just them; it's the whole city overall. It's a huge city, and to think that we're getting to everyone. I've said this over and over again on my show. The hardest part is watching the vote every 4 years or every 2 years, and watching the number actually not hit a good level. If that doesn't explain a lot of things, people are distanced from voting. I don't really understand that. And it really directly affects a lot of things, their tax rates, everything that goes on. And I've paid attention to conversations. I listen. I'm not really a post it and run with it kind of guy. I'm not going to banter with people on Facebook very often unless I know that I've got some solid ground to stand on, because I think even with the current situations on either side of the city, you're right. The communication is the hardest thing to do. And the outreach, I would like to hear your suggestion on outreach that you would think would be vital, not just for your area, but I want you to think about your area for a second, because that can be duplicated. Okay. But just in your area, what would change the temperament of what's going on there as far as trying to get communication out? What do you think would work?
I think if you had a town hall meeting, maybe, but most of the communities in Welland Park have some event centers that could easily handle a few meetings. So I think being open to that and having a town hall meeting, obviously you're going to get a lot of feedback. We're everyday people that are going to have some, it's going to be a lot of vocals, but I think the communication, even when I talk to my neighbors, they know I'm pretty much involved in some of the city issues. They don't realize what's going on. Now, that being said, some people probably don't want to get involved as much, which is common. But I think, it's the outreach. And I think that if they do some type of, town meeting where we can all discuss and open up and maybe answer some questions truthfully and communicate. Because right now, if I do look at it from a separation standpoint, I think a majority of people in Welland Park don't realize what what is going on or why this is going on, or what, or what can be done, or what is the truth. I mean, no one really knows. I mean, there's a lot of hypothesis going on and a lot of negativity on both sides. So, I just think it needs to be put right down on the table and discussed, and in an open forum that is fair and balanced.
Well, I think that should be offered. I don't know why at this point it hasn't been. I have the commissioners on my show. Barbara Langdon is going to be on in next Monday now. It's third Monday of the month. Third Monday of the month will be Barbara Langdon, and she will be on my show for 55 minutes. You can put this out there to your people, even in Wallen Park, because they're in my listening audience. I go all the way up to into the middle of Venice. They can ask questions. Feel free to ask questions. There's a forum for that anybody who asks a question right now, and she can put that right up so you can see it instantaneously. So there is a platform right here to ask any question or any historical question ever, so that you get the truth straight from the commissioner, one-on-one.
So, John, let me ask you a question. So when you look at your viewership, or like when we track our Facebook, it's still a limited number of people that we're really reaching. So in your opinion, how would we get it out there further? I've tried to post on Nextdoor, and I've had some success with various things that I'm involved in to try to get it out there, but it still feels like, are we really reaching enough people? Or are they just not responding? Or,
the answer is no, we're not. We're 100% not. I think on top of the fact that we have to have town meetings, we have to encourage people why they should be involved. Now, that word involve, that scares people to death. Involvement means the limited time that you have. Why don't you get some education on about where you live and what's happening within the voting realm of what's going on, so that you're prepared the next time the vote comes around. If that's the only thing we get people to do, we're 100% improved. Because what we're doing right now on an annual basis, as far as getting our citizens educated, involved, just to vote, that there's a problem. And it's cohesiveness on working together with a lot of these groups that have a lot of power. Social media has a lot of power right now, and you can take a right issue and you can be right. You can take a wrong issue and you can be wrong, but you feel like you're right, and you're giving misinformation out. That's social media. I hope that we're combating some of these things. We've had people that have voiced their opinions on the show. We've had people chime in and give their insight. The nice thing about what you guys are doing with Northport Forward is that you're giving people that platform to actually ask questions and get answers on a streamlined sort of thing. They can go and they can do their research through our wonderful website through the city of Northport, but you can spend a day doing that. And a lot of people don't have time for that. Welland Park people don't have time for that. Northport citizens in South County don't have time for that. We're kind of a working class mix of retirees and working class that other cities don't have. I mean, our average age is like 40. I think it's 46 or 47 now.
Mm-hmm.
In the city of, or in the state of Florida, that's young. I mean, seriously, Venice is not. I don't think Venice is below 65. That's a huge difference.
Right. It's like 70. Yeah.
Yeah, and the attentiveness. You ask about the attentiveness. The attentiveness of people is different when you're retired or almost retired. When you're working and you have a family, I got to tell you, I ran the the athletic boosters for Northport High School, '07 and '08. And people thought I worked at the school. I worked a full-time job. I worked at the school full-time, and I was at sporting events. I was out pounding the pavement on what I needed to get done to promote Northport athletics. I got to tell you, we have commissioners that go out and do these things, but I'm hoping that we have a city manager who's actually going to go and kind of do what he said, which was meet people where they're at. If I gotta believe that Northport Forward, unless they're going to football games and setting up a table and talking to people and letting them know what's going on, they're not going to the baseball fields and doing the same thing. And it's not, hey, I showed up at the beginning of the season. Nope, sorry. You have to have representation throughout the year. And I hate to tell you, but Northport Forward is a job unless you have help. And you guys are building a good team. The same T-shirt can be worn in 15 different spots if you got 15 different people wearing it. To put it on the back of one or two people, it feels like a mountain to climb. And that's the difficulty. And you guys, how many do you have in your group today?
I think 5 now.
5.
Right.
Now, I'm not going to say anything negative, and here's why. You built this with 5 people during COVID, during one of the hardest times in American history to not just get through life and get through everyday living, but to try to encourage people to get involved in something that they can't even put their hands around while the rest of their life is flashing in front of their eyes. In a lot of cases, it's very difficult. But
yeah, we did Zoom meetings, and we were having some dinner meetings at Old World. So and we actually just started those up again. So and our meetings are open to anybody. So they're more than anybody's more than happy to attend. So
how many times have you? And I'm going to ask you this because I think we're kind of being direct on how we can get things started. You said Old World. The average age of, and I'm not mocking Old World. I like Old World. I like Family Table. I like all those restaurants. I still go because I like the mom pops. Okay, so I'm not picking on Old World. Average age of patrons going to Old World?
Probably retirees.
How are we getting to the majority of the people in Northport if we're focused on going to Old World? Because they're not going there.
Right.
My question then would be, where do you go?
Right.
Where do you go as an organization to attract the majority of the people in Northport? There's only one reason that we have an age bracket that we do, and it's because the youngest people hold that down. It's not the retired generation. They're not holding that number at 65. All right. So we have more working class than we do retirees. Now, I get why you go there, and I still think you should go to Old World. But where do you think you should go if you really want to start attracting people who are shakers and movers?
Well, I think part of the challenge is having a large enough room to do it.
Well, you got a room for 5 right now.
Yeah, but it was larger, pre-COVID.
Listen, we have to smile about this, right. And I'm glad you're laughing. How do you build an organization and attract the people you're really trying to target? And the question is very simple. You go where they're at.
Yeah.
How many times, and I know the answer to this before I ask it because you couldn't have. Okay. How many football games you've been to? We haven't had them. So guess what?
Right.
Can't do it. Baseball games, all those types of things are totally different today than they were 6-8 months ago. Okay. So the conversations we're having, it's really how do you build an organization where you can get people involved? What's your elevator speech to new people that you meet at Walmart today?
I mean, what our main, well, I mean, we've been really pushing the fact that to inform and educate the citizens of Northport, the important issues that are going on and the events, because I think that's two areas. Important issues is one thing, but events is another. How many people in this community know what's going on in different sections of the town?
How about if you're at Walmart? I'm at Walmart, and I'm throwing this out there at you because I know people are listening. They're going, he knows what he's doing. I've built them before. I built the Buckeyes. We meet for football games. Yes, it's fun. I built that one person at a time. We have over 120 people showing up for football games. Okay. And we've been doing it for 16 years. It was a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
And it was building a team, a network of people who also invited more people. Yes, it's fun, but there's a lot of work that goes into it. So a lot of behind the scenes work for anything that anybody's doing. PTA, Northport Forward, Little League Baseball. People want to say, "Oh, it just exists." It doesn't. It's the network of people that they have. My question is for you: the next time you're at Walmart and you're going to approach somebody, don't ever use that line. I want you to try something different. Are you interested in why your taxes are going to go higher? Let them tell you yes or no. Ask them a question and then give them the solution that you guys are putting together on quick access. You're driving information in reverse. Okay. And while I think you're doing a great service, can't even begin to compliment you on how great the service is that you're trying to provide unless you get them to ask the reason why. They don't have time to, they're going to forget you. But if you're telling them their wallet's going to shrink, next election, your wallet may shrink because your taxes are going to go up. Are you interested in finding out some information? There's my elevator speech. I'm going to go meet 10 people a day at Walmart. I'm going to find a volunteer out of 10. 1 out of 10, 10%. That's about the voting population, 10%.
Right.
Well, what are you doing at the same time you're asking them that? You're kind of telling them, hey, you really need to get involved, because if you don't know what you're doing and you go to the polls, you may vote for the wrong person. You may vote for the one to empty your wallet. There's different taglines. And I say taglines because in the world we're in today, aren't taglines used all the time?
Oh yeah, it's a totally different world right now. I mean, we're both in business, same thing. You have to figure it out.
So I'm gonna ask you a question. What do you do for a living?
I have an investment advisory firm.
How did you build your business?
Initially by seminars.
Those don't work anymore.
Then word of mouth. Yeah,
they don't work anymore.
Yeah, seminars don't work anymore.
No.
Right.
So if we did a seminar on Northport Forward, are we going to expect anybody there?
Probably not.
Dare to be different.
Right. Yeah.
Dare to be different. Ask them the question that's going to affect their pocketbook the worst, and then tell them where they can find the information the easiest.
True, you're accurate. Yeah, you have to get to the bottom line and stir the pot a bit. So understand that.
And I love what you guys do. I'm a huge supporter of Northport Forward, big time, huge. I love it. I was part of Vision Northport years ago, and Northport Forward is not going to be anything different than that. But there were some great things and great ideas that came out of Vision Northport. And when you guys get this thing going, and you will, because there's a lot of determination and there's a lot of people out there interested in it, they're just scared on how much you're going to pull them in. So the first thing is what? Just getting them to listen. How much work are you asking people to do? How many hours a week?
Well, right now we're still in the startup stage, so we're getting all that going. So
I'm not asking. You're not asking them to work out all that time, right?
Right. No.
If you want to work some hours, fine. We'll give you some ideas on how you can help us build. What you're really asking citizens is get involved with us on the level of getting educated. What is it that you need to know that it's going to affect your family, your jobs, your homes, things like that? What is it that's driving you as a person, as a citizen? I got involved because Peter Bartolotta got me involved with Vision Northport years ago. Did I learn a lot? I learned a ton. Did I put a lot of time in? Yeah, I'm that guy that jumps in, and I'm either going to do it 110% or I'm not. Am I going to follow? Yes. Am I going to lead? All I can. But you're not asking every citizen to wrap their arms around Northport Forward in that manner, right?
Correct.
What are you asking for Citizens Base right now? What are you asking for the people of Welland Park and the people of South County to really envision what Northport Forward would mean to them?
I guess just to be more informed about what's going on so they can make better decisions, so they don't make the wrong decisions. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Are you trying to simplify things?
Not only simplify, but make it available. And I think that's the concern. Like you said earlier, for someone to find out what's going on in the town itself or events itself, it's pretty challenging to find out what's actually going on out there. So I think that's the challenge with everybody.
Yeah, and that is the challenge. I mean, it's a real challenge, and you hit the nail on the head. No matter how hard we're trying, I've been doing this show now for 2 years. Do I think my followers are good? Yeah, my numbers are going up. If you ask me, not high enough. Not high enough. I want them higher. I want people to understand. Truthfully, they don't have to spend any time at all, and they'll learn a ton from this show. Just what we're talking about right now. People don't have to spend a lot of time working at something. If they can throw on a video of Northport Forward that has 15 minutes and they learn 5 things about what's happening with an event, you just drive that. You got a website, correct?
Correct. Yeah. It's
man, I'd be driving that website. Drive that website everywhere I go, and I wouldn't try to explain Northport Forward. I'd drive them to the website. I'd ask them the really simple question, as when you go to vote, do you think it affects your pocketbook? If you really want to find out how, check out our website. This is what you're voting on. This is how your vote goes. Pay attention. You drive that website, and that's a real matter-of-fact way to get people to go, this guy's talking about my wallet. And they're going to step back. I don't know what the percentage is of picking people up, but I'll guarantee you this. It's going to be higher than to try to explain what Northport Forward is in Walmart versus trying to get the hook in real quick and saying, well, wait a minute. This guy's talking about my taxes here real quick, and there's some decisions being made, and it's going to affect my pocket. Maybe I better check out his website. That's a thought. You asked the question. I hope that helped.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's accurate.
Because the funny thing is you got to be about my age. I'm 58, so you don't have to tell me how old you are, but I'm 58. And I remember looking back at what worked before. And it sucks. It actually sucks to say this, but I'm looking back to tell myself how old I am by telling myself that stuff doesn't work anymore. And it worked fantastically back then.
Yeah. It's a totally new world. Totally new world.
It is.
You have to adapt and adjust right now.
The one group that I'd like to see you guys get your hands wrapped around a little bit, that would probably inspire you guys to maybe step your game up, is the Young Republicans. They're a great group. They've done the fundraiser, the back to school fundraiser for up at the Atlanta Braves facility. They have a nice showing, nice, for the first time happening, very good showing. But there's something there that people are scared to talk about, and they're young. Sorry, they're young, they're energetic, they're very influential within their age group. And I throw the word Republican in. I don't care about the Republican or the Democrat when we're having this conversation. It's about how to get people involved in their age bracket and let them know this is another extension of what they're really doing. It's interesting to see what's going on with them. But the younger generation really needs to get involved in Northport, and that's the hardest part to do with them working.
Oh, true, definitely. I think that's the challenge with any. I mean, I'm glad to see them, and that was a great event because it was right in my backyard. So, yeah, and I think that's the other thing with communications. How many people knew that was going on? We know it because it was pretty much local to us, but how many people really thought it? And I know there's some opinions on Braves events and whatever out there, but I think we got to get over that stuff and come together and realize that there's a lot of activities going on here, and it's good for everybody. So
it is. You've got to the young professionals. There you go. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm glad there's a correction. The young professionals. It wasn't young Republicans. So my bad, my fault. So I'm not a fan of mixing the things up, and I hope that was what Pete Emmerich was saying also, because I like that group because they're energetic, they're young, and they're shakers and they're movers, but they're also into what's working today to get people to show up and volunteer. Funny thing is they're young, and I missed the cutoff, and I volunteered. So did my wife. So we worked some of the event, and it was really fun. It was a good time. But the nice thing is it's sort of like, we were talking earlier. You don't need to work hours and hours and hours at this, and you don't need to do it every day. But if you could check out the website and get some information and encourage others to look at it, that's how you grow the organization. That's how you grow the following. And it's hard. It's probably one of the hardest things you'll do right now is to try to, or at least when you started, try to get people to look at it. I do have a question though.
Sure.
Where you live, and we'll just leave it right there. I'm not going to pick on anybody, but I'm going to say this. Where you're at, how do you feel about anyone you talk to there when you talk to them about Northport Forward?
I find that they're really not informed about everything that's going on. That's number one. Number two, when you talk about taxes, and I brought that up, most people have moved from a very high tax state, so in their opinion, the taxes aren't that high. Not saying that we don't like to have taxes going up, because we're all in the same boat and we're all human. So yeah, any little bit hurts us when it goes up. But I think they're thankful that the fact that they're living in an area which isn't as high as where they came from, but at the same time, they don't want to see taxes go up or things done to cause taxes to go up that aren't in the best interest of the community.
And I'm going to ask try to ask this a different way.
Okay.
Are they stigmatized by the name Northport Forward?
Stigmatized.
Are they thinking,
I would say
I live in Venice, so
let me just break it down. The majority of people that I talk to realize they live in Northport.
Good.
I know that, there is a de-annexation group, and that's fine, and that's their choice, and that's their opinion. I do know there's some that are either in that group or in that zip code thing too. But I think that's where the communication comes, John, again. I think there's so many scattered things out there that, it's so I don't know how to answer that question. I think some of it is people seem they're okay. Other people are at the extreme side where they're like, taxes are too high, it's going to get worse, so I'm going to do this de-annexation group, which is fine. But do we all know what's going on? I'm not sure if we do. Because we've tried to find out information and facts, and we're having a hard time. So, and then there's another group that's trying to find out facts, and they feel that they have the answers. And then there's others that, just like the voting, they're like, we're okay. Our taxes are a lot lower where we were living up north, and but getting back to Northport, when I talk to my neighbors here, I feel they understand they live in Northport. So I don't sense that as much, but I do know there's a group that does. So,
right. Good to know. I'm not asking you to pick on you. I'm asking because I kind of felt like that was going to be the answer. And I wanted people to hear that from somebody who lives in Welland Park, because guess what? We never hear anyone say that. We just hear de-annexation. We see it in the newspaper. It gets shoved down our throat, but we never hear that there's a group of people that live up there that don't feel exactly like that. The information is mixed across the board.
Yeah, it's mixed, and it is what it is. Yes.
We keep wondering how to fix things, and it's funny because communication seems to be a vital part of just about any problem that you have in life. It goes back to communication. 99% of the time, I think it goes back to communication. Just like you can text somebody something. I hate texting because it's the worst thing in the world to read your emotion into. Because if I'm having a bad day and you text me something and I take it out of context, what just happened? Everybody is so into let's get this information quick. It's a shake, just move. There are some things that we actually, as a community, I think we have to take responsibility for. We have to take responsibility for finding out where we live. We have to take responsibility for how we vote for where we live. I think that anytime that a community overall looks at itself as it's no big deal, I just go to work and I come here to live and I leave. That community by itself is in really danger of hurting itself and imploding on itself. And it's kind of where we're at right now. Yeah. Yes, we're having growth. Is it the way we want it? No. We have people that want to slow it down to an all-time standstill. We have others that want it to move it forward because we need to grow, because we're going to be at 100,000 before you know it. But that's the same group that doesn't want us to be at 100,000. Sorry, it's going to happen. Whether we want it to or not, it's going to happen. Mother Nature tends to thin things out on occasion, but overall, we're going to grow. We live in a really great area. We've got retirees at an all-time high. There are people moving here every day, still mass numbers. Things are not going to slow down, but the nice thing that you're trying to do is really get people educated. And that's the hardest thing to do, is to get them educated. And I've asked this question about Northport Forward before. You're not saying this is how we believe, follow us no matter what. You're saying get involved and get your opinions going, correct?
Right, right. And getting back to maybe what I said before, it's not like those of us that know we live in Northport Forward that we're just going, oh, okay. I mean, we do have concerns on maybe some of the things that were done in the past. And,
Sure.
and I think that's why someone like myself is involved, to get an idea of what happened. You can't change it, obviously. So, that's why moving forward, let's see how we can make it better and improve it. And, and I think that's, what our purpose is, or what my purpose is in trying to help the community, move in the forward direction. But yeah, talking about what's going on, I know individuals right now that want to, from up north, that want to, we're looking at Punta Gorda, and now possibly they're looking at Northport, but then we have to go through some other things to get things done. And I think that's the challenge, is until we adapt that growth mentality, we're gonna miss out on some opportunities. And so hopefully a couple of people I just recently talked to that are re-looking at Northport, maybe we can make it happen. And these are small business owners that are moving from, the northern area, looking for opportunities. And so I think that's what we need to look at. In addition,
I'm going to throw this at you as a question too. You had mentioned, and maybe you can play on with this in answering that or expanding on that. But you said that there were questions that needed to be answered that you couldn't get answered. Can you tell us what the questions were that you can't get answered? Because I know for a fact, at least I got one commissioner listening to this right now, and he's all ears. This is your opportunity to get the questions out.
Well, well, we try not to go into too many of the details, but I mean, anything, I think, the other individuals that have spoken from our group have addressed some of the issues on your show. So I think it's just getting to the bottom line of what the truth is on some of the things that are going on right now.
Like what?
Like with maybe War Mineral Springs and those kind of things. What's the truth behind how the whole mechanism works? What's just stuff like that. And Carmine's been talking about the water and sewer. So just trying to get some of the answers so that we all know, maybe what's going on, from being a resident, I guess you could say. So
yeah, no, I wanted to hear that, because it's and really maybe we should get Carmine and the all three of you guys on at the same time next month.
Okay.
I would love to do that. We can do that I think we can have up to 9 people on the show, but to have you guys on, I would even love to get one of the commissioners to come on with you guys and see if they're interested in doing that. I'll throw that out there, but I would even appreciate one of the citizens that's part of the group that isn't part of the leadership of the group. If you've got somebody out there that wants to have the conversation, or at least have some things that need addressed, I think we can general conversation. What's that?
That would be really good. I think that would be great. I mean, and we're definitely going to be going through a growth stage, as in our area here. I mean, our downtown Welland Park is going to be booming. We got 4 more neighborhoods opening up, which I'm sure you're aware of. So, it's definitely starting. So, I think we need to be aware of what's going on, but also make sure that, we move in the right direction and communicate that so that everybody's informed.
And that's going to draw a lot of things. Welland Park is doing a really good job as far as getting that area built, but it's booming. That whole area is booming. It's not going to slow down. It's going to move forward.
And I also think there's other areas too. If you look at the Toledo Glade area and all, there's a number of areas that are primed to grow. And then as you get closer to the Westport area, so we're definitely, it's going to happen. We both know it. We're going to get that 100,000 mark, but we got to make sure we go the right direction. So,
well, and make sure that you put this information out that Barbara Langdon will be joining. So hopefully, Northport Forward will have a few questions and they'll type them in.
Looks like Pete's going to be on.
Pete, you're scheduled for Monday. Well, I got a text message from Jill Luke today, but I'll follow back around with you, Pete, because we'll figure it out and we'll go on from there. And he's probably right because I haven't seen him nor have I seen Jill recently. So we'll get that worked out. But if it's Pete, get ready, Pete. Just tell him you're ready. Go ahead and text that say you're ready for everything on Monday. So I'm looking forward to it. I think that we've got a good group of people trying to move information and try to get Northport to wake up. I hate to say it the way I'm saying it. I think we have to wake people up to get them to be encouraged just to vote, just to get educated on why they need to understand why they're voting. And I think Northport Forward can be a vital part of that. It's whoever gets the short straw, LOL. Yeah, that's probably true. Pete Emmerich, he's a good guy. And I'll say one word and he'll know exactly what I'm going to say or what I mean. Twisted tonight. So we'll go from there. But it was really cool to talk to you on the level that we went this time, because this wasn't rah. This was really a good sound discussion on what people need to hear, why they need to get involved, and how to get them involved, which we haven't really had open dialogue on this show. We've just talked about why they won't get involved. I think we all at our age need to learn how to streamline it a little bit and to maybe catch them with a zinger. And I think the wallet idea of getting them involved, if you can't trigger them on getting involved because the pocketbook is going to change, you're not going to get any of them to move off the dial. And I think everybody out there in the working class right now could be motivated by talking about their pocketbook for a change versus inflation emptying their wallet like it is. I think gas prices just went up another 20 cents. I'm if that doesn't directly affect the working class, I don't know what does. So this might be a really good time to use that wallet cue to get people to get fired up about seeing what your group is about. Encourage them to go to the website. Do you think you have gained some ideas from the conversation already today?
Yeah. You gave us some good ideas, and it's. I'm sure everybody will be watching this that's not available today. So, I definitely think that we're on the right track, and I appreciate your help.
Yeah, no, not a problem. Are there some hot topics that people should? We've got about 5 minutes left. Are there 3 or 4 hot topics out there that people should think about over the next month? So when we come back, the dialogue can be set up. I mean, you talked about Warm Willow Springs. What is it? Are you concerned about the structure of Warm Willow Springs? What is it that you're concerned about with Warm Willow Springs?
I think the discussion was. I think the discussion was just what direction is it going to be going. I know we're putting out some, we're putting some water and sewer in that direction. But what is the focus there? Because I think a lot of people are concerned on, is this going to go the direction of what happened with the pool situation? So I think that's a concern across the board. So again, I think it's more detailed information and instead of just things being done. So I think that's some of the concern. I think with the water and sewer, I think Carmine and Brian have talked about that a little bit. Is what's eventually going to happen there. I do see the broadband coming, which I think is positive. And I actually talked to a gentleman yesterday that is involved in some of that, and it looks like there's going to be some more progress in broadband fiber net coming into to Northport, which we desperately need, especially for not only individuals but businesses. So I think we're on the right track there. So,
are you concerned at all about the current budget with Northport?
Well, yeah, I just briefly looked at it here recently, and it looks like we're staying pretty close to where we were.
Yep.
But again, I don't know how many people are really paying attention to that, John. Like maybe you and I and some others, but how do you get it out there? We get so much information, even here in my development, I'm sure in your areas, you get all these emails and everything, even when we have our HOA meetings, how many people really go and really care until they get the email with the increase or whatever, or something going on. So, I don't have the answer on that one. So,
man, I got to tell you, if either one of us truly had the answer, we definitely would be making more money right now, because we would be changing a lot of things, and we could sell our service. But I think the biggest thing is we've never really had a conversation about any of this before.
No,
we've had it now. I'm going to promise you, yes, you're going to get some people to show up at oh shoot, why'd it go away? The restaurant just went away.
Old World.
Old World, thank you. So I kind of hit myself in the forehead there, so it's all good that way. But you're gonna have that select group of people show up to Old World. I gotta believe that if things are going to change, we got to get younger in a lot of these groups, and I'm not one of them anymore. I used to be. I've been here 20 years. When I was younger, I was all over it. We've got to see that the youth kind of step in, and we have to figure out a way to meet them where they're at. And our new leader, the city manager, he is that guy. He is that's what he said he's going to be. He's going to meet them where they're at. Our town hall is effective. They may be effective up in Welland Park, because that's a retiree community base. I mean, you've got those numbers to support that. I don't know that that's going to work on this side of town, in the Northport here. But going to the ball fields and walking out there and shaking hands and letting people know what's going on. I think we have to have some directives on what those things are. And I know you guys are working at that. But we've got to kind of hone those in and really give it a good target. And I think you guys will do that. You're just young. And I say that, your average age, I'm not going to talk about, but you a group.
I think you've opened up some avenues to pursue, and it's something that we'll put on the agenda. But definitely reaching out from the younger side.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. And David, it's been a pleasure to talk with you. It's been a really interesting conversation. Totally different than anything I've ever done on the show before, because it really gave a lot of insight on one, what you're really trying to accomplish, but two, the biggest concerns that are out there on trying to build an organization. And it's not easy. You're not alone. just keep fighting forward.
All right. Thanks, John. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time. I'm sure we'll be talking again.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. This is John Rawlings with Real Talk Radio.